Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca, and I have two realities. In one of them, I live a normal life like all of you, and in the other one, I am able to travel in a dream, and today I will share my story with you. As a child, I did not understand where reality was, where it ended, and dreams began because they were completely similar to my house and different places where I have been. My mom says that she just went crazy when I couldn't discern between dream and reality. I could look for a non existent doll for half a day or talk about a fire in our house. But then I learned to distinguish them because in my dreams, there were no people at all. A little later, when I got older, my dreams became more interesting and informative as I got the opportunity not only to walk around those places where I had been before, but also to go anywhere in the world. But in a dream, unlike in reality, I cannot touch objects. I am as if made of air. This is actually very cool. Want to relax on a sandy beach? Great! Want to visit the Hermitage? Just a few seconds and you will be there. Also, it is possible to visit your relatives' homes that are far away. I used to think that this was just a product of my imagination, that is, a delirium, but after one situation, I realized that what I saw when I slept was far from dreams. This happened after I went to visit my aunt's house during my night trip and saw an explosion taking place in the opposite building. I was really scared and quickly woke up so as not to experience a nightmare. So in the morning, I looked at the news of where my aunt was from and saw there the consequences of the explosion in the opposite building in the apartment which I saw in a dream. Do I really travel the world in my dreams? Aren't these all my illusions and fantasies? Wait, what about my body? I know for sure that it doesn't leave the bed at night. So does my soul leave my body when I sleep? I have to check this again. The next night, in a dream, I visited the exhibition of wax figures, which I had never been to, but a couple of days later, my classmates and I were planning to go there. I was studying all the exhibits and the interior inside the building to compare it with reality later, and in order not to forget everything that I saw there that night, I noted down all of my observations on a piece of paper in the morning. And then the day when we were supposed to visit the exhibition came. I couldn't wait for this to happen because I was eager to find out how much reality coincided with my dream. And guess what? As soon as I entered the museum, it was 100% exactly the same. I already saw all of this a couple of days ago while I was sleeping. Just imagine this. All the exhibits were in the same place and looked totally the same as in a dream, and even the interior of the hall was just an exact copy. It's hard to believe, but it was on that day that I realized the power of my abilities. Well, after that, first of all, I decided to visit the place where it was always forbidden for me to go. It was a back room in my aunt's house. I often came to visit her, and she was always kind to me, but the only taboo for me was that room. I think you all know how sweet forbidden fruits are, and no matter how often I asked my aunt what was behind the closed door, she kept silent. At last, I managed to get into it, to be on the other side of the door. It was a dark and dusty room with hundreds of photographs everywhere. I could have even thought it was a photo studio if I hadn't known my aunt. Then I started looking at photographs, and in all of them, there was a young, handsome guy with a very pretty and young girl who looked very similar to my aunt, but it seemed to me that it wasn't her. The girl in the photo was literally shining, and it was clear that she was very happy, but my aunt was a withdrawn person, and it was difficult to make her smile. I thought that this was some kind of distant relative of our family, but I have definitely never seen the guy before. It's weird why my aunt never let me in here, and what does all the stuff in this room even mean? During my next 2 nights, I returned to that room and tried to find some clues to understand what all this meant, but I did not manage to notice anything new. There were all the same photos and all the same faces in them. The only hope was a wardrobe in the corner of the room, but I could not open it without the participation of a physical body. I've been thinking about what I had seen for a long time, but I had no ideas. So then I decided to try talking to my aunt again about the locked room. What if she was ready to talk to me and tell me everything? But the attempt failed again. My aunt got mad at me and asked me not to touch upon the topic anymore. Instead, she offered me tomato ice cream. Why tomato? Actually, I've had tomato intolerance since childhood, and who could know that better than my aunt? Either because I was offended of the inappropriate tomato ice cream offer, or because of the unsatisfied interest, I told my aunt that I knew what was behind the door in that room and described in detail everything that I saw there. My aunt started crying and said that she knew that in a dream I could get there, but just hoped that it wouldn't happen. But it still did. However, even at that moment, I had not gotten any answers to my questions. My aunt just told me to go home to my parents. She actually kicked me out of her house and started sobbing. I heard her crying even when I moved far away from her house, and it became clear to me that I had touched on a very serious topic for my aunt. However, I could not come back and apologize. I'm too proud for this. After all, it was she who kicked me out, and I wasn't even rude to her. Over the next few days, I was thinking a lot about what had happened and about those photos, but I still did not dare to call my aunt, and a few days later, she came to me herself. After entering my room, my aunt threw on the bed all of those photos that I saw in her secret room, and she asked, "Are you still interested?" I nodded my head, and she began telling her story. 14 years ago, the couple from these photos got married. At that time, they were only 20 years old. They studied in the same class at the university, and everyone around them couldn't help but admire the couple because they were both so beautiful, young, and awesome. A year after the wedding, their daughter was born. They called her Rebecca and just adored this cute, big-eyed baby. The mom called her Princess, and the dad named her his sweetheart. However, happiness wasn't supposed to last long because 2 months after their daughter was born, Charles and Victoria, the couple in the photos, died in a terrible car accident. Moreover, their daughter was together with them, but she seemed to be protected by angels and she didn't even get a scratch, despite the fact that the car looked like a tin can. After what happened, the two sisters of Victoria began to think about who would bring up little Rebecca, and as a result, one of them took the girl, the one that I always considered to be my mother, and my aunt was always there and helped to bring up her niece. So yeah, you heard it right, this story was about me and my parents who died. They are in these photos, and my mother is actually my aunt, but I never knew about it. I asked my aunt why they never told me anything and why she would not let me go into that room. She said that her sister, Victoria, was a twin, and remembering everything or seeing the photos was really painful for her. In short, she just did not want to twist the knife in the wound, but wanted to preserve the memories about her in that room. However, she and my mother planned to tell me everything in 5 or 10 years when I would be ready for it. On that evening, I was waiting for my mom to return from work to hug her. When my aunt and I told her everything, she cried a lot and apologized to me for hiding the truth. Well, after this incident, I began to travel more carefully in my dreams. I realized that sometimes I can see something that can hurt other people and cause pain to them. Although I do not regret at all that I learned the truth because everyone has the right to know their history and the history of their family, even if it is very sad and tragic. Now I understand why my aunt is so weird and withdrawn. It is very difficult to lose part of oneself and continue to live with it. I also understand why the second sister adopted me and not her. I am very sorry that in our family everything turned out that way. Would you travel in a dream and get to those places where you always wanted to go? Give your answers in the comments and I will read them. Also, do not forget to click on the thumbs up button under this video and subscribe to our channel so as not to miss new exciting stories.